What's going on, guys? Cody here. Today I got a couple things for you. First things first, I'm going to give you my picks for the nightcap. We got a couple, I think I got 3 baseball games and I got 1 hockey game. I'm going to go ahead and give all of those out to you today. And then I'm also going to compare MyBookie to Bovada, 2 sites that I like to use a lot. I'm in Florida, so sports gambling right now isn't exactly legal. So those are the 2 sites I use. I'm not going to include Bookmaker in this. I do use Bookmaker, but as far as user interface and what I like the most, those are the 2 sites, so we're going to go ahead and compare those. But first, all right, here we go. Let me go ahead and jump into my picks for the day. Let's start with hockey. We got Toronto home against Montreal. I have Toronto at minus 195. Toronto's incredible. They're by far the best Canadian team. I don't know how far they're actually going to make it through the playoffs, but Toronto and Montreal, Toronto all day at minus 195. They're at minus 195 on MyBookie right now, minus 210 on Bovada, so we're going to go ahead and take them at minus 195. What's interesting is they opened at minus 220 in most places, minus 210 on Bovada. They actually haven't moved on Bovada at all, but they opened as a little bit higher favorites, and then they've kind of pushed down a little bit. Interesting. Going into the MLB, we're going to take St. Louis Cardinals money line, plus 165. I love the odds on that, plus 165. For a team that plays the Dodgers very well. It's Flaherty versus Bauer. They both lost their last start. I like Bauer a lot. I'm going to take the Cardinals at plus 165. I love the odds there. We got Mets at Diamondbacks. I'm going to take the under 7.5 there. I could see that being DeGrom's on the mound for the Mets. So I'm going to take the under 7.5. I could see that being a 4-0 game. The Mets don't necessarily score a whole lot of runs, and the Diamondbacks are just really, really bad. So we're going to take the under 7.5. We're also going to take the Mets at minus 180. That would be like a half a unit play. We're just putting a little bit on there. But I really like the baseball picks tonight. Hockey, I don't like the odds that far against me at minus 195, but I'm going to go ahead and take it. Like I said, Toronto is just far superior to Montreal, and I hope people don't get mad at me for that, but that's my thoughts there. Alright, so here we go, Bovada versus MyBookie. Bovada is actually the very first site that I started using when I started gambling. I thought their site was actually very good. It was very easy to use, very easy to navigate. I was deciding between Bovada and Bookmaker, and Bookmaker, if you've ever been to their website, it's not the prettiest looking website. It's not the hardest to navigate, but it's not a very user-friendly website. Let me tell you why I like Bookmaker over Bovada. Bookmakers' lines move a lot, and they tend to move towards the gambler's favor. So if we're talking about, like, for example, I mentioned earlier I have the Maple Leafs versus, I took the Maple Leafs over the Canadiens. The Maple Leafs on MyBookie right now are minus 195. Well, on Bovada, they're currently minus 210. Is that Bovada thinking that they can get more squeeze, or they think that Toronto's that big of a favorite, no reason to adjust the line? I don't believe this is something that Bovada does intentionally. I think Bovada, once they make a line, they stick with it more than other places. So for example, they opened at minus 210 on Bovada and they haven't moved. They've stayed right there. That happens more often with Bovada than it does on MyBookie. MyBookie tends to move with the other sites. So for example, they opened at minus 210, but they're all the way down to minus 195. MyBookie will update that and they will move. Bovada doesn't. So there are a lot of times where you're getting squeezed on that, but there are times where it'll move the other way, where Toronto opens at minus 210 and then they move to minus 250, and you'll go to MyBookie and you'll see, hey, the Leafs are at minus 250, but on Bovada they're still minus 210. So it does work in your favor. In football season, I've noticed with Bovada, they don't give you enough points. So for example, if you have a favorite, the favorite's a heavier favorite, and then the dogs are less of a dog. So if you could get, for example, my favorite team, the Cowboys, at plus 6, on Bovada you got to get them at plus like 4.5, plus 5, which, you know, that makes a big difference. So as far as that goes, Bovada's just, they do less, and it kind of works out when you're line shopping and you want to look for different lines. That's okay. As far as website use and getting your deposits in and whatnot, I think MyBookie does a great job. I've made withdrawals from them and it's gone pretty smoothly. Bovada's was nuts, by the way. It took a very long time and I wasn't very happy with that process. When you make a deposit to Bovada, I used to do Western Union. You send it down to like, not the Dominican, but you send it down to I don't know. I actually remember where you sent Venezuela, Chile. I don't know. You send it somewhere, and then when you get your check, it comes from Canada, and it's like, man, there's something happening here, and it's super weird. I don't do Western Union anymore. I just use my card. But MyBookie, for whatever reason, I have a lot of confidence when I'm giving them my card. Keep in mind, I'm in Florida where things aren't exactly legal here, so I have to use these offshore sites. I prefer MyBookie, one, because of the deposits and withdrawals are very, very easy. I also think that their website is pretty user friendly, especially on desktop. On mobile it gets a little weird, but I would take, this isn't a promotion, I would take MyBookie over Bovada in most cases. Maybe if you're more into live betting or you're into the first 5 or first 3, depending on what sport you're betting or whatever, Bovada probably does a better job there. But for the most part, I was trying to be in the middle here, but it's just not working. I would take MyBookie every single time. Bovada used to have a more friendly website. They used to be the biggest and the best, and I don't really know what happened to them. I kind of went away from them for a while, and it looks like they just kind of, not fell off, but their website's not as user-friendly as it used to be. And as you play around with MyBookie, you'll notice everything with them is very, very good. So MyBookie versus Bovada, I'm picking MyBookie. If you want the best lines, I know that wasn't part of the video, but if you want the best lines, personally, I think it's Bookmaker. I think they do a fantastic job of giving you the best lines. If you're not about user friendliness and you're not about how well the website operates, go with Bookmaker. I think they're very, very good. Deposits and withdrawals are very easy with them. Yeah, I think I basically covered it. So yeah, that's the video. I'm gonna see how this turns out. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe.